Does anyone know what this figure is, 12%?
Percentage of ladies who play golf in Scotland?
It's the percentage of membership in Scotland. The GB&I average is 14%. For me, that's as big a reason as why we need to do something about this as any. People often talk on this subject about it being the right thing to do. It is the right thing to do, but it's the right thing for your club to do, and it's the right thing for your club to do for a number of reasons. Cash is king. If any of you have heard Greg Patterson talk about cash, cash is king. We all need more money coming in, and if revenue is the only driver behind why you want to go down here, then so be it. But what women, girls, families bring to your club is a diversity to your club. They bring a vibrancy to your club. And some of the examples I'll show you, if you go and speak to those people, they will tell you exactly that. It has changed the environment and the culture within their club. And if that's not the right thing to do, you just need to look at some of the research. Some of the research will tell you golf needs to change. You know it needs to change. You don't need me telling you here that it needs to change. Last night, the figures came out around participation levels. They're not great. It's shown a continuous decline in 18-hole golf. But what it is showing is the start of an increase in female participation. Sports marketing surveys will probably release that research in the next couple of days. They're not going to make a big splash about it because they feel there's enough negativity around golf just now, because it is still showing a decline. But let's take something from the fact that the female participation is showing an increase. And I think it is starting to see some effect with some of the programs that are running around the country, whether it's This Girl Golfs, whether it's Getting to Golf, whether it's Girls Golf Rocks, whatever it might be, there are some showing signs of that trend changing, which we should all be encouraged by. One of the things that most of the clubs aren't ready for is to actually embrace people within the club. And we, at Scottish Golf, we learned that with club golf. We thought it was great to roll out this massive initiative around junior participation, and the clubs weren't ready. They weren't ready in terms of their environment. They weren't set up indoors. They weren't set up in terms of their committee and their structure. They weren't set up in terms of their leadership. So if you decide to go down the route of looking at participation programs, the one thing I would suggest you ask yourself, are we ready as a club to bring in new members? Do we have a smile as somebody walks through the door? What is our membership engagement like within our club? Will our members embrace new members to our club? I'd like to talk about two segments in this, the vixens and the champions. Let's not shy away from one of the biggest issues in golf, and one of the biggest challenges that some women find coming into golf is the other women within the club, and we shouldn't shy away from that. There are some wicked women out there, and I'm seeing the nodding heads around the room, so you know that. But there are also some great champions out there, and those champions need to also be your male champions. You just need to look at that figure, and I would say, if I asked around the room for a show of hands, how many of your clubs have roughly that membership? But what age demographic is that membership, that 12%? What age are they? They're not 35, are they? Tell me if they are, because I'll come and visit soon. Okay, so we need to ensure that the males within the organisation, within your club, are bought into what you're trying to achieve. They become your champions, they become your advocates. I'm not saying every male in the club's going to do that, but pick a few who'll start talking about it a little bit more. They've got the majority voice within there, and until you get to around 30%, that will still be amongst women in the club, that'll still be a minority, and it'll be a voice that's not often listened to. So pick your male champions, because they can be your really strong ambassadors within the club, but pick the right people. Get your club ready to embrace people coming in. Do your homework. I'm going to share some examples of some really good work as we go out there. Go and talk to other clubs. Don't be afraid. You've got your own unique selling point. Do not be afraid to go and find out what other clubs have done, what challenges they came across, what pitfalls they fell into that you can avoid. What did they do to set the whole thing up? And also go and speak to your regional club development officer at Scottish Golf. They have a wealth of information. They've got a wealth of resources that they can share with you. But who better to learn from? This is what we're doing today. We're learning from our peers. Who better to learn from than other clubs who've tried and tested some of their work around women and girls. And you'll get some great ideas and great examples of what's worked and what hasn't worked. When you've done your homework with some of these clubs, you need to define what your product offering is. That's no different to your membership offering. It's no different to your food and beverage offering. It's no different to the menu choices that you put on that food and beverage offering. Define what is your product. Is it a one-year membership deal with coaching over an 8-month period? Is it a 2-year membership offering? Is it 3 years and over a phased in and steadily increasing membership that encourages people eventually to take out full membership? Around girls, is it mixed coaching? Is it separate girls coaching? I'm a great believer in mixed coaching, but I know my husband works a lot with girls, and them all being together has seen some amazing things happen with girls who've come completely out of their shell and they've bonded and they've created a little community and a network together. So you need to decide. I would only suggest doing a girls specific group if you've got a volume of girls there. Plan. We all talk about plans around all your learning that you do as club managers, but even plan for an open day. If you're going to open up your doors and bring people in, plan for it. One of my colleagues, Ian Evans, he set up a whole template around planning for an open day that can be completely transferred into a Get Into Golf programme or a participation programme. But set out your stall and have a subcommittee around there. Don't rely on the same people all of the time to do all of the work. We know through some of the volunteer engagement work that we did that people are willing to volunteer for a short period of time and give their time, if it's only 2 hours, if it's only an hour on the day. And pick your welcome party. You don't want your grumpiest members to be your welcoming people, do you? You want your happy, smiley people who can sell the club the minute that person arrives on that day or arrives to the club to even take a look. In terms of looking at what you can do, bring in one of your friends who's not a member of your golf club and say, first impression. We used to do I don't know if mystery shopping still happens in Scottish Golf, but that was a fantastic tool. Get somebody to do a mini mystery shop. What's your first impression as you walk through the door? Learn from that before your day and plan and change what you need to change. Engage your membership, I've talked about. Subcommittees, give some people a role. Give some people a buddy to work with on the day. One of the success stories I'll talk about in a second is London Ladies. And they had all their members there, not all of them, but a fair few of their members there at their last open day. They had their little gilets on, that was their club gilets. They had their members making tea, bacon rolls. They had their members taking some of the ladies who arrived out for 3 holes on the golf club. So there's lots of different roles that people can be engaged in. If people don't want to be front facing, they'll be more happy to make tea and bacon rolls, fantastic, or home baking. That's one club you always go away from feeling you've overindulged on the home baking. So what does success look like? Okay, I'm going to give you some examples. Prestonfield, big club, limited company by guarantee, centre of Edinburgh, decided to look at their juniors. Steadily over time, their junior section has grown and grown and grown. It's now sitting around 200. Massive membership around their junior membership. But they then saw that who were the kids being dropped off by? Largely mums and some dads. So how can they encourage more women to come in? Very simply, they did a bring a friend. And that was hugely successful. It became quite competitive amongst the ladies. Oh, I'm bringing so-and-so. Oh, well, I'm going to bring so-and-so and so-and-so. Oh, well, I'm going to bring so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so. They had 70 women turn up for that morning, where they had bacon rolls, coffee, they played a little bit of golf. They were going to start off and say, we're going to get them out and play 9 holes. 9 holes for a beginner? No way. It will take you all day to get that first group round. 3 holes with a bit of coaching. That's what they did. They structured it really simply. And again, that's just grown and grown. London Ladies, first year, they ran an open day along what I described earlier. That was planned out. They had a subcommittee, everything sorted. Their advertising, they did buy flyers. They had 54 new members out of that open day. It's a small club. It only has not even quite 300 members. It's a 9-hole course. It's a ladies-only club. They have a pavilion. They have no bar. You make your own tea and coffee. You home bake. It's very old-fashioned inside. It attracted 54 new members. The following year, 85% of those 54 renewed with a full membership this time. And that first year they offered £125 membership because it was linked to their 125th anniversary. So it was a very special membership. The following year it went up to the full membership, £240. So it's not a huge membership, but they still had a huge transition into year 2. They did another open day in year 2. They got 36 new members out of that second open day. And of that second year of the first, 65% then progressed in a third-year membership. Now, those figures are probably fairly unique in Scotland in terms of not only the volume, but in terms of those transitioning into year-on-year membership. I was down 2 weeks ago on Saturday. They were offering a £180 package, 10 lessons, a membership through from April to October, and they had 20 women sign up in 2 hours. Bacon rolls, coffee, buddies showing them 3 holes of the course, very welcoming, sitting out, yeah, it was a nice day, it's hugely successful. I went down to join, and I've thought about joining that club for about 3 years. Went down to join, it's not for me. I think it's great what they're doing. I want to be in a mixed club. It's not my thing to be just solely amongst ladies, so it's not for everybody, and that's what you have to, it might not be for everybody. So I made some excuse about coming to visit them on Monday, which I was doing it anyway, but and showed my support and things. I was still in my cycling gear at that point, but never mind. Great package in there. Elgin, speak to Barbara Ann during lunch. They've had a huge success with their Getting to Golf programme. Big numbers again, haven't you? You've laid on a second group as well, haven't you?
People phoning this year and we've even advertised it yet.
Yeah, so, and London Ladies didn't advertise with flyers this time. They put it on their Facebook. They put banner up outside, so it doesn't have to be expensive what you do. It just has to be the right product at the right time with the right offering. With up north, the really good example is also 9 of clubs working together. So Rothes, Buckpool, Elgin, they've invited all those women who are playing in that to play at Rothes. So that was the first one, wasn't it? And it was a greenkeeper who suggested it. Why don't we get everybody up? So there, the engagement of your staff. Is your course set up to welcome beginners? Everybody keeps worrying about playing 18 holes or playing 9 holes. What about 3 holes, 6 holes if your configuration works better that way? So these are all some success stories. There's North Berwick, Mary Lou isn't here to describe it. They had a real challenge because they have a waiting list. How could they figure in a membership package? They wanted to do it. They wanted to give back to the local community. They wanted to invite more women into their membership. They've figured it out, haven't they, Kevin? And they've been hugely successful with it. They play on some of the different courses there and engage with some of the other clubs just so that they can figure a way. There's always a solution to what you can successfully do. And shout about it. Don't just quietly go about it. We'll just put a wee advert in the paper or a wee... Tell your membership. Talked about your male champions. Every male champion either lives with a woman, well, not everybody maybe nowadays, but knows a woman if they don't live with them and maybe have got another one on the side or whatever. But use your connections within your club. Tell your membership why you're doing it. Tell your membership how you're going to go about it. Put something in your local shops. And then afterwards, tell people how successful it was. Tell your members what was the result of the day. Tell your people out there in your local community, you are open for business. So, 3 takeaways. Plan, engage your members, particularly your male champions, engage your vixens that I talked about earlier. Change them, turn them around, show that they have a role. Prove to them that this is what the club needs, and communicate well. And don't ever fear that you're over-communicating. They say a baby needs to hear a word 50 times before it learns that word. You need to communicate, 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 and communicate. Don't assume people will get it. You know yourself, I can see nodding heads about anything that you do around the club. Do not assume. One final thing with an R&A slant is we're going to launch a Women in Golf Charter on the 29th of May. It will be a call to action to the golf industry, and that's the wider golf industry, clubs, retailers, national associations, tours, to unite and have a focus around women and girls' participation, and to encourage more women to come into the sport within the workforce. We recognise the cultural challenges within the sport, and we want to demonstrate some leadership and working with all the groups involved. So I would encourage you to think what you can do in terms of your pledge within that charter, and I would welcome clubs getting in touch to find out a little bit more about it. So I think I've taken over 10 minutes, but thank you very much.